Welcome back. Today we have another betting video, and we're going through each division. We have the AFC East, highly requested. Bills, Jets, Dolphins have a heated race in this one, all pretty high totals. We're going to start with the highest total, and that's going to be the Bills over plus 115. Under is a little bit juiced at minus 140 for 10.5 wins for Josh Allen and who the fuck else. Really what we're rocking with.
Yeah, I mean, right off the rip, it seems high.
Yeah, that was higher than I thought.
Yeah, no, this is set. They're the highest in the division. The other two are going to be at 9.5. So, do we love the Bills? Hate the Bills? Where are we at with them?
Under.
I mean, it's a tough division for sure. And maybe, obviously, outside of the Patriots, we don't know what they're going to be. But, I mean, I feel like the Jets are very up in the air. Like, we're almost discounting them as, like, we don't know how to rank them. But with Aaron Rodgers, you got to expect that they're good. Miami's a very respectable team.
Yeah.
Their schedule can't. I mean, I can't even fucking read that schedule.
Weeks
but
2 through 6 is Dolphins, Jags, Ravens, Texans, Jets.
Yeah,
That's
Good
tough.
teams, but it's not like
It's not impossible. I mean, you also look at, like,
fine.
you can say the same thing about, like, weeks 10 through 14 of,
It's the
like,
NFL.
Indy,
Every team's
Chiefs,
pretty fucking good except for
Niners.
like
and
the
also,
worst teams.
once you get into the season, you never really know. Like, quarterbacks
yeah,
go down,
literally.
and then it's like teams become a cakewalk.
yeah, we
so.
could be like, oh, Miami's going to be the powerhouse. Tua goes down, they're cooking the teams. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like Buffalo. I think what makes them a tough projection is overall they just look a lot different this year than I feel like they've looked in past years because of just the turnover in personnel. Where it's like you take Diggs out and their identity had pretty much been like Josh Allen to Diggs, right? And like obviously Singletary's been gone now, so James Cook takes over and he became a big part of their offense like second half of the year. And I kind of think they're going to ride that high going into this year. But it's like I don't know with the lack of real cemented weapons. You got to ask yourself, like, okay, Josh Allen obviously took a huge step up. But, I mean, remember how we looked at him before he got Diggs?
Yeah.
Like, he was bad, right?
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
obviously developed and became a lot better, way less, like, sporadic as a thrower. But how much of that was having, like, a clear number one that you could rely on that could separate all the time? And now we don't really have that in the offense. And there's been a lot of, like, defensive turnover. So I think
I'm curious about the defense.
They basically
like,
cut their
that's
whole defense.
Sean
That's what
McDermott's
I mean.
thing and trade. Tre'Davious White's gone, even though he hasn't been there forever. Jordan Poyer's gone.
Hyde. Yeah.
Where is
both safeties. Cool.
Damn. And Von Miller was like the worst signing ever. Like
GOAT.
they just have nothing until Matt Milano comes back this year.
That's what I mean.
who
Like
is a
this
dog.
entire win total just feels like it's on Josh Allen's shoulders, whereas it didn't always feel like that in previous years. So
No,
the mark
definitely
feels
not.
high.
Any of the lines you're seeing you like, though? From betting
still
perspectives, values perspectives?
Yeah.
Dude, his rushing came out. That's kind of low, no?
480?
Who?
Allen.
Oh, his
Allen?
yards? Yeah, that definitely feels low.
480.
I'd imagine they're going to have to lean on him running the ball a little bit more. James Cook, the rushing touchdowns, I want to say feels low, but
Yeah.
he had like,
3.5, you're like-
two last year.
Yeah.
They never fucking use him on the goal line.
I think maybe they have to a little bit more this year. They have to get him in. Like, my thought process behind that, like, I like the line solely off the thought process of, like, they need him to do something.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be their next big playmaker that, like, needs to step
The
up.
thing is, like, he's a good playmaker even in the red zone, but they use him in the air a lot. Like,
Yeah.
he'll have as many receiving touchdowns as rushing touchdowns this year.
I feel like they go out of their way to make sure he's not the goal line back, whether it's Latavius
Facts.
or Lenny if they needed
Yeah.
him last year who never
Goat.
played. They
They
drafted,
drafted Ray Davis. He's
They'll
whatever.
literally use
Frank
any
Gore.
corpse
Yeah.
instead of James Cook.
Josh Allen. Will
That was a
take
crazy
bunch.
list of names you just threw out.
I'm serious. That's what they do. though.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it like that. They will use Josh Allen's mother.
I also think I would take the under on Keon Coleman's yards.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's
725.
he's a cool player and good draft capital, but we have no idea how this receiving group's going to shake out because they bring in Curtis Samuel. Like Khalil Shakir could,
I feel like his own team's talking shit about him too. Like the coach and the GM.
About
they're-
Coleman?
Yeah.
Really?
Kind of
say?
like he's not progressing well. Like
Really?
he's like
And
yeah, the
he's
shift
been
from
there for, like,
college to
3
NFL
weeks.
is like completely different, and he'll get there. It's just
Yeah.
like very like passive. Like he's not ready.
Yeah, I don't feel secure at all saying that he's going to be the wide receiver one or lead the team in targets or anything like that. So I would probably err on the side of the lower on that for sure.
Does Diggs have maybe aura is not the right word, but like an aura about him where if you're a quarterback, you feel like you have to force feed him the ball, and maybe because he was so dominant of a receiver in years prior, and not that he was bad last year, but he kind of took a little
Fell
step
off.
back.
He fell off.
He
Call
fell
it how
off.
It is. He did.
I don't want to say he like fell off.
No,
He's
but
not
he did.
bad, but
No,
he
but
wasn't. He wasn't like prime Stephon Diggs anymore. So maybe it's just like you run that offense thinking you have to go through him. He's really not the number one. Does that alleviate any pressure of him not being there? Like Is there any benefit from Stephon Diggs not being there? Is this like just?
I don't think so. I think the narrative makes sense, but I think like when the actual thing happens,
right.
and the QB doesn't have the elite, like, oh, he doesn't have to force the ball. Drew Brees doesn't have to force the ball to Michael Thomas anymore. It's like I think he'd probably rather have a guy.
You'd
who
rather
can fucking
force
separate.
feed a 1 than you would force feed 2s and 3s.
But is like Diggs? Was last year Diggs still good enough to be like a 1?
Weeks
That's
1
what I'm
through
saying.
8, yeah.
Weeks 1 through 8.
Yeah, and then
What-
I mean,
what happened
we
over-
did see the second half of last year.
Yeah,
He
he
kind of
kinda
just like
did.
fell off a little bit, but a lot of that had to do, I think, with the shift towards more of a ground game.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, James Cook really ramped up at the end of last year. Obviously, 1,000 yards. I don't feel comfortable taking the over here, but I think if I were to lean somewhere for the James Cook, I would lean the over on yards. Kincaid is a polarizing player because Kincaid's going to be used as just a big slot. Like, that's probably going to be his role through most of the year. I doubt he's going to be used very much in the run game because they're going to try to keep him healthy and keep him moving into the pass game. 750 feels a little bit low for, realistically, in my eyes, their best pass catcher. Thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't love how they used him last year at all. I feel like there was very little to actually get excited about. Like, it's easy to project, but I never watched it and was like, this is how they were using him the right fucking way. You know what I mean? Like, just felt like they were dumping it off to him 7 yards down the field on like comeback
he would get a
routes.
ton of sticks, ton of like stick and goes.
It was just never like anything that felt like, okay, they're finally figuring out how to use him in the offense. And I wonder, like, a lot of his production too came when Dawson Knox was out for that 4 to 5 week period. And Knox isn't good, but like we've seen this time and again where these old veteran tight ends just like
He's still there.
they're annoying enough to like kind of zap a little bit, you know, a red zone target here, an end zone target here becomes a problem. I think Kincaid is probably the best like weapon in the pass catching group overall. But I just didn't see enough that like really made me confident that they know how to use him.
Yeah. All right. Gun to your head. Which side you taking?
Yeah, I'm gonna go under for sure. That's a tall total. That feels like it feels like optimal season for the Bills. They get to 11 wins.
Yeah, 11-6 is like 2-3 seed arguably.
You'd argue it. You'd argue that these guys might be taking them down. Miami 9.5. Wow. A little bit juicy of an over 135. We got a lot of lines. Mostert, 8-chan, Waddle, Hill, and Tua are all out. Not touchdowns for everyone, but we have everyone's yards. It literally looks like they're gonna have 5,000 yards across as a team. So you're betting on that if you're taking the overs. What stands out to you right away?
H-Chan.
An 0-2 start to the season.
That's crazy. 0-3? Seattle?
True.
No?
Well, don't doubt Levis.
Levis and 10. I mean, they start 0-4. Oh, Lord.
Raheem Mostert, 8.5 touchdowns.
If you remember, the narrative last year with Miami was like they could beat the bad teams, but they couldn't beat the good teams. You think that's going to be still the same this year? Or
I feel like that was like the narrative going into last year, and then they like fucking confirmed.
Yeah, they were like,
the year.
that's us.
I don't know how much has changed from this year. Like they lost Christian Wilkins too, which is a huge part of their defense, and Jalen Phillips is coming off of the torn Achilles.
Yeah,
so
I don't think he'll
know
play
how
much of the
effective
year.
he's going to be.
Yeah.
Or if playing at all. So
They like rebuilt the defense like Moneyball, like Lace Campbell, Chop Robinson.
Yeah, no, they
Self is
literally-
gonna
they also
work.
lost some
Yeah.
O-line pieces.
And
like,
Chop Robinson, he's like a build-a-piece. Like, he's going to be a guy that you got to take 2 or 3 years before he's anywhere near his full potential.
They also lost Vic Fangio, who I know like the defense wasn't good last year, but like normally Vic has a solid.
Vic.
I mean,
I
he
know,
always
he's
has
a dog.
He is a dog. He always has a solid unit. Granted, like most of his dudes were injured last year. I think by the end of the season, he was kind of working with like most of his backups. But
also
I
curious
kind of feel like
about
that's just as big of a
the
loss too.
secondary, because like I feel like at this point, this is when like a corner falls off. Like, can Jalen Ramsey stay elite forever? Like, he's pushing that 30 piece.
Yeah.
Like,
I think there are a lot of questions. Yeah, I don't know. Like they played really well last year. I don't feel like does anyone feel like they got better this offseason?
No, but I still think they can just like outpace a lot of
it's
teams.
like it's like they didn't get better, but I feel like they underperformed last year to maybe they'll just perform to what they should have been. That makes sense.
You think they underperformed last year?
I mean,
With the
they're
expectation coming in that they were going to be like the team to stop, I felt like.
I kind of feel like that was not.
I think they.
I think people
I think
liked
they
them, but
started hot and just kind of ran out of gas.
That's what it feels. I don't think anyone came in being like Miami's the favorite. I feel like people like the Jets, people like the Bills for sure.
Well,
I think
the Jets narrative.
I remember I took Miami to win the division last year, and they were behind both the Jets and the Bills
right.
pretty
like they were
substantially.
definitely not the favorites at all going. I think like really quickly everyone saw the offense and was like, holy fuck, Miami's unstoppable. And then like 4 games in, there was defenses able to figure out what they were doing. So I kind of feel like they're worse off from last year, but they're good. I think they're just good enough that they'll figure out how to win a bunch of games. But yeah, there's a lot that kind of scares me. And from like a fantasy perspective, when I'm looking at like the stretch at the end there, where they have the Jets week 14, Houston's whatever, but like San Fran, Cleveland, in Cleveland, the Jets again. Like that's a really brutal stretch.
That's a defensive gauntlet.
Yeah, for like a team that struggled down the stretch last year, for a team that struggles against really strong defenses, that kind of scares me off some of the pieces here.
I mean, you even go back further. You can't really knock the Patriots defense ever. Green Bay always comes up with some. And Houston, they were a top defense last year, and they could easily run it back again with some added pieces there. So it is stepped up. It's definitely going to be tough.
It's a tough defensive schedule, but I also kind of feel like if there's one team that can rip apart a defense, I'm not going to doubt it's Miami.
Yeah.
You look at the lines for individual players. Any of them really pop to you that you're like, this is a lock. This is where I'm at.
Dude, I kind of, for some reason, Mostert at 8.5 touchdowns.
Really? Over, under?
I mean, if he's like their goal line back and also like he also has the ability to rip off long ones, like I don't know, dude.
Is he gonna be healthy?
It's a tall line, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's high, but he also I think he can have a similar season where he also rips off like 13. Like I think he can demolish this line too.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he did. I think if I took a step back and looked at his career kind of as a whole, even coming off of last year, 8.5 is just a very.
You also look at some of the games he had last year. Like he had multiple games like 4, 3, 3. Does he do that again?
They kept and they got real creative with Achane in the red zone once he started getting healthy. My favorite line here is Achane over 750.
Yeah.
I like Waddle a lot.
Really?
1,000? I think he had not a great year, and he still hit this last season.
Wait, what's his touchdown total?
It's TBD, so it's not up yet.
He's hit 1,000 all 3 years that he's been in the league.
Like I think he's kind of got a little bit of a bounce back coming.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
All right. Well, I just got a live update that they put it on this morning that it's 5.5
over Waddle.
Yeah, touchdowns.
It's not surprising.
Over.
Really.
Wasn't there last night. But
What about Jonnu Smith?
That's what I'm saying.
we need the Jonnu
anyone ever
Smith
gonna
lines.
This is his time.
Do you think like Reek is really gonna go over 1,400 again?
Been over
I'm
1,700 in 2 straight years.
You don't think so?
Give me one reason why he wouldn't.
J-Mo? I'm the one asking. Like I'm not. I have no preference. I have no side.
I feel like you're like the under god when it comes to season props, and like when I want to fade these big numbers, you're fucking out of your mind. Like you like unders.
I like unders, but if I have an inkling for an over, I'm usually just not taking it. I'll take ones I feel confident on the over. But like my problem with most of like what you guys are saying is like, can Tyreek Hill really do this? Like fucking yeah, he just did it 2 years in a row and nothing has changed in the offense. Why wouldn't he be able to do it again? And this accounts for like he was on pace for 2K last year.
Yeah.
This accounts for missing 2 games probably. Like
it's like a really condensed offense too. I feel like through the air it's literally Hill and Waddle. That's it, and they don't add anybody else.
I think my thought process is like that led to them not winning games at the end of the season. Like you shut down Tyreek, you shut down that offense. You shade over Tyreek, you shut down that offense. Literally, teams were scheming to put an extra zone in a cover 6 to move over to Tyreek Hill.
They've done that his whole career. It's never fucking worked.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Mahomes,
I think it's
he has
just
his 2 best seasons in his career back to back. I'm a fan of.
I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not taking one side or the other.
I wouldn't.
But I'm saying that would
for
be.
Sure. I wouldn't bet on the 4. I wouldn't bet on the over there.
Okay.
It's just a very high number. But like, I don't think there's a real logical reason to be like, I'm taking the under.
All right, Jamo, get cooked. All right, gun to your head. Where are you taking? Over on the total line wins.
It's a tough over. I kind of feel like this division can cannibalize itself a little bit. Like.
Every team's just gonna split every matchup.
This division is gonna be like at least the top 3 teams are really good, but the record's not gonna reflect it. Meanwhile, there's gonna be like someone in the fucking I don't know, NFC East that like rips off way too many wins because they're in a weaker division or something.
Yeah, the out of division games feel pretty fucking winnable for Miami. So I wouldn't be surprised if they grabbed like 7 out of division games, and then like if they do split, it's 10. It's a good line.
I think I'd go over.
I think I'd take the under actually.
Really?
I think I have him
probably
at 9.
Under at value. Under at value. All right. I think I would also take the under here. I just don't really believe in Tua, but that's a different story for another time.
It still throws me off that they play 17 games.
Yep. New York Jets, 9.5. Juicy over at -140, +115 for the under. We got Tyler Conklin lines. Anyone interested?
I've been drafting a lot of T-Conks on underdogs. Dude,
Love
he's like sneaky, like, okay.
Sneaky 425. Is his touchdown line came out this morning? It wasn't out last
It'll be
night.
3.5 probably.
Is G
No,
Dubs
it's
gonna
not
like
up.
scoot his way to like 1275? Like they just keep moving his ass.
I think
Yeah.
G-Dubs will have like 1,400 this year. I feel like
Really?
we're going to see prime Diggs.
You think Rodgers stays healthy enough to do that?
Yeah. I think every fucking target is going to Garrett Wilson.
Is it? What is it now? 7.5 and went live this morning. Damn, I should have looked.
I'll rip the under on Rodgers' touchdowns 1,000 days out of the week.
Interesting. I know we talked about it before. It is a line that I would probably lean the under. I know, JMO, you said yourself you have a few question marks about that.
I am like delusional to loving Aaron Rodgers, and I think he loves himself to where my point earlier or last time I did this was just like, I don't think he would be playing if he wasn't good. Like his ego wouldn't let him to do that.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean like he's a bad player if he doesn't throw 28 touchdowns. I just think
I also think, though, that Aaron Rodgers now in a spot, he has the luxury of a good defense. Like, is he going to actually need to throw up 28 touchdowns?
He's that, and he has the luxury of Brees Hall behind him, where he
Right.
can literally just. Brees
Like,
is set to
They
have
got-
a hell
they
of
got
a fucking
Arby's.
year.
Even like Braylon Allen's going to get like a decent amount of
Yeah.
carries just to take pressure off of A-Rod, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I don't think this team is going to rely on Aaron Rodgers to be like prime Aaron Rodgers. I think as long as he stays healthy,
Yeah.
like they're going to be great.
it's gonna be Carson Wentz, Colts.
Were they like a good team, though?
They were like gonna make the playoffs and then went 0-3 during the year.
Yeah.
But like he
So
was
not-
efficient.
so
He was
not
like
him.
27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Like he was just efficient.
Yeah, just not flashy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
I can
ugly.
see that. Brees' lines 1,050 and 500 receiving yards, 7.5
He's so
TDs.
Wait, hold on, real quick. Going back to Aaron Rodgers. Do you guys know off the top of your head like Matthew Stafford's stat line?
Last year,
Yeah.
he ended up with like 39 and
I think he threw 25 touchdowns.
25.
Okay.
But 15 games, though.
Yeah, he
Okay.
missed him.
So he would have paced out to like 4,400, 4,500.
How many touchdowns? Like 20. He would have just scooted over this probably.
Yeah.
Because I guess that's kind of how I feel. Like when I was watching Stafford, I was like, dude, this dude's like cooking. But then you look at his stat sheet, and I'm like, I guess
He had a
he
few
didn't
bad
throw for
games.
5,000.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but like
You also add in the game he came out early with the thumb. You add in again
Sure.
like
if
But like his stat, I feel like his overall stats were underwhelming compared to how it looked on the field.
Yeah.
And then you add in the fact that this Jets defense is way better. They should be in
Yeah.
better game scripts.
Way
to
better than the Rams,
Go
yeah.
under these totals.
if Stafford his 17 game pace, if he plays all 17, he's like 5 yards short of leading the league in passing yards last year.
Okay.
So like it was good on a per game
Okay.
basis. He was cooking, but
He
like
was
the
fine.
offensive schemes, like like the Rams to the Jets, gonna be night and day in terms of how they sling the ball out there, and then the Jets,
yeah.
I think they're running the ball a lot.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you look in, like what I was saying earlier, Brees, 1,050, 500 receiving yards is the line, 7.5 rushing tugs. You feel any confidence in any of those overs, or you leaning under a lot? I feel like it's hard to fade. Arguably the best running back in the league.
Yeah. The only thing I'd probably take here is the Rodgers touchdown under 27.5.
All right, staying away from the Jets. JMO, you have any passion, any drive?
I think
What is
Brees.
football club?
Oh God, is he gonna run for 1,100 yards?
The high line.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
gonna,
he
he's
just
gonna pop
missed,
for like
he just missed
1,300.
1,000 last year because of mathematician.
Yeah,
He also will have a much improved like O line this year.
he had a lot of receiving last year. I don't know if the same receiving comes to him. I mean,
I feel like
Think
Aaron
about how-
Jones though always was. How many yards was like Aaron Jones average?
no, Aaron Jones, again, he was a great receiving back as well. I'm thinking if they lean more into the run game, I don't know how much they're going to run Brees. First, second down, keep him in on third down, pass the ball to him. He sees 3 touches in one sequence. You keep going. Are you going to run the ball again on first down then? Or like, you don't want to gas out your best player. And I feel like that can easily happen when you incorporate him so much.
So let Garrett Wilson sit every now and then.
Garrett Wilson enough. Like, that's kind of my concern again. But again, they've really narrowed options in this offense. Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall are going to see almost all the volume.
Yeah, low-key feel like Brees Hall's their wide receiver too.
They got Mike Dubs. Don't forget.
Do you
Dubs?
think Aaron Rodgers is gonna ever use Mike Dubs?
Pretty high. He's
What's
like
Mike?
projected
Is
like
Mike Williams'
750.
lineup?
Oh, yeah, he's at 775.
Okay, that's like the easiest under of all time.
That's the easiest bet here. Mike Williams under.
Easily.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Also, like if you were to put his over/under in games played, was it like 7.5?
Probably go maybe higher. He'll like appear in 11 games probably.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
I'll have to add him to this.
6 complete
Beauty
games,
had him under the
5 half
charges.
games.
Yeah.
Really cool.
5 body slams. Coming out.
All right, gun to your head.
5
Over, under.
tombstones.
Under.
Under. 9-8.
I want to go over, but I don't think I'm making sense anymore with the over-unders that I'm taking, but fuck it, over. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just taking everybody's over at this point.
That's fine. Now we're taking the greatest over you can take, 4.5, minus 140, New England Patriots. Lock it in. Only 3 players with lines up. That's all we need.
They don't have lines for any of the rookies?
No.
I really like Pop Douglas over 550.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty big fans of Mr. Poppy, huh?
Yeah, Pop and
He did
Stain.
last year and like barely used, I feel like.
Yeah. I don't even know why this he's really, in my eyes, like, you look at their targets, obviously the 2 rookies that are coming in don't have lines up yet, but Pop is the guy who's going to see most of that volume.
Dude, I thought he'd be at like 625.
I sneaky like Hunter Henry. Anyone else? I feel like
I'm not even in the slightest.
Dude, he has like, I feel like he just dominates red zone and touchdowns every year for this fucking team.
He feels like Jawan Johnson.
Go.
No.
Is that a bad thing?
That's a bad thing.
That wasn't, I mean, you didn't scare
Juwan
me
might
away.
be the greatest.
I don't know. Drake May coming in. Maybe he likes
it's
double H's.
It's crazy when this Patriots team starts like 0-7. Like this 8, 9, maybe 10.
Cincinnati to
Cincinnati, Seattle, the Jets, San Fran, Miami, Houston, Jacksonville, the Jets again. Tennessee's a winnable one. Chicago, it could be winnable.
I mean,
Rams, Miami.
That's the problem with being
Like,
that's the problem with being such a bad team though. Like, even middling teams feel like a big challenge. Like, most of the time, Tennessee is not going to be like a daunting task. But if you're the Patriots,
you think 0-8, 0-17? Thoughts?
There's no way they're favored in any game.
No, probably not.
They're not favored in any.
Wow, I was really gonna say no. They're sneaky. No,
Arizona, they might get a dub.
I'm locking in my pick.
I don't.
Under plus
5 wins.
But dude, like 5 wins, I feel like you can accidentally get.
They will win like 2 division games probably. I think they'll sneak off a couple.
Again,
Bro, all right, that's a thumbnail.
They do every year.
Yeah,
it always happens.
Division
Their
games
defense is
are
going to be
always
good.
tough.
Their defense is always good. And what if Drake May is good?
They'll also always win on
They
like
do this
Thursday night
every year.
randomly.
Last year, did they have 5 wins last season?
Nah, I think they
Who
were
was their
4.
QB? And like their defense was getting hurt left
Yeah,
and right.
Mac
They were a
Jones,
bad
Bailey
team.
Zappi were horrendous. Defense was beat up like a mug. Yeah.
I mean, look, Texans last year were projected 5.5. That was, I think, the lowest of all last year. And not that Drake May is gonna like have a CJ Stroud rookie year, but like we were just very down on the Texans last year. Like we were doing the same thing, looking at the Texans schedule, being like, how the fuck are they gonna win a game? You know, obviously that's way more than I think what we can expect. But I still think 4.5 you can accidentally get to.
Yeah, I think you also look at that division and you're like, oh, they could definitely squeeze some out. Where like you have the Jets,
Sure,
I mean, Buffalo,
the
and
South
Miami,
was way
it's a lot,
easier of a division.
It's a lot tougher to just look at. Like on paper, if everyone's healthy, you're looking at those defenses and you're just like, damn.
They won.
I think they could split with Buffalo. Like that would be my.
They're going to win 2 division games somehow.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's going to be some bullshit
They'll
snowy
beat
ass.
Miami once.
They'll
for
beat
sure.
Miami.
They'll beat
Miami will fuck up.
for sure.
I don't think
They won 4 games last year.
I don't think Tua's ever lost to the Patriots in his career.
That just can't be true. I feel like doesn't Bill Belichick own Tua?
I think it is the
It's
exact.
the-
I think
it's
he's
the other way
undefeated
around?
versus
Really?
Belichick.
One of them's undefeated to the other. I feel like
Well, Belly's
But Belly's gone.
Belly's now on a 24-year-old, so
Dude,
I don't know if he's gonna be.
I'm really interested to see Mayo as a head coach.
You think? I think he could be solid. He seems like a great leader. which is something that,
It feels like the team kind of likes him.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'm really want Drake's. Like, why is his? Oh, is it not out because Jacoby's gonna get the start?
I kind of like that dude.
Yeah.
You said you like Jacoby?
I like Jacoby as a guy who that you start for the first, I don't know, month or so.
He's a good vet to just have in front of him just to learn.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I think like realistically, if you're the Patriots, you're not expecting to like make playoffs this year or anything. I think you're more worried about the development of Drake May, so it's nice to have Brissett.
What are you giggling about?
I can only see the last 3 years, but 2 is 5-0 against the Pats.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn,
they're
That's
splitting.
crazy.
New England
split.
wins both of those games.
New England this year is going to be cooking. Joe Milton starting quarterback. Thoughts?
Milstein? Yeah, for sure, dude.
Cannon arm, 6th-round pick.
1 yard is
Drake.
his over-under.
What about Ramondre? Like in fantasy, he's getting like some good capital right now. RB20.
Dude, why did he get paid so much?
Dude.
I don't. Was it that $9 million a year? Like,
I
is
think he's
that-
just
that
one
RB
of
market so much
like
for a running back.
A relatively underwhelming back.
I
like
think
Derrick Henry, I think got 10 for 30 years old. Like Ramondre's still what 25.
But-
Derrick Henry, though.
Dude, yeah, we're talking
Put
about a
Derrick
guy
Henry in that offense.
who's been a proven asset. Whether even if he's like at the back of his career, maybe like 10 million makes sense to roll the dice on Derrick
Especially
Henry.
on a 2-year. It's not like Ramondre's contract.
What are you rolling the
almost
dice here for?
It almost feels like that's the contract you give your running back, is like you're building your offensive identity now. Like Ramondre. It's like I like him though. Like Ramondre's a cool player, but
the one thing about Ramondre though, that like you can always rely on him to do everything, and you don't have that with every back. Like he has the build and the skill set to be a workworkhorse.
He can play all 3 downs.
Yeah,
sure.
so that's where it's like you lock that in. You don't have to worry about it for the next.
He can play all 3
years.
downs, but does he play all 3 downs good?
That's a
He
different
kinda
story.
does,
I think he's a good running back.
They brought in
I think-
Antonio Gibson, who's gonna be fucking the most annoying on third downs. and take
he's gonna be
those
so
pass catching
frustrating.
work.
He's so mid. It's disgusting. All right,
They got
gun to
that.
your head. Under, over, 4.5.
Every
go
single
over,
division, every single team over.
You're just over on your logic is fantastic.
I'm taking
division
the under on the Bills. Everybody else over.
Okay. J-Mo.
Under.
Under.
Over Pop Douglas, so.
Okay.
I'll go over on the wins, and then over on everything Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry's going to have a godsend season. I'm going to take the under here. I just don't know if I can believe in this offense to do literally anything. Pop Douglas, though, take the over. He's going to be a god. All right. That was the AFC East. We'll catch you next time. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff in the comments below. Let us know what your predictions are, what you think is going to happen in this division. And make sure you use code BDG on Underdog when you're taking these lines for extra $250 every single time. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.